What's up, YouTube? So like the title states in the video, we're going to be upgrading the air management system on my 66 C10. It's currently sitting on an Ezair ride kit. It's a manual kit, 1/4 inch airline throughout. It's got 4 independent switches and 2 air pressure gauges currently under the dash. Now, so today in this video, what we're going to be doing is eliminating the switches, the gauges, and all those air lines coming through the firewall and under the dash. All that's going away and we're going electric. I have a few reasons why, and I'll get into that later in the video. And I think what I'll do is go ahead and post a link in the description of the current air ride kit that's on it now. I'll go ahead and post a link in the description of all the parts that are on the workbench I'm about to show you here in a minute. And I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, you might be new to the channel and you have not seen these videos, I'm going to go ahead and post a link in the description of the playlist of all the videos I did on my truck a few years ago installing that Ezair ride kit. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I was kind of new to YouTube back then, and so I really wasn't too familiar with editing or how to do it. So try to take it easy on me. Try not to hit that button. But if you liked the video and you thought it was informative and overall pretty good, then hit that thumbs up. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out my channel. Like the videos you like there. And if you want to stay up to date with everything I'm doing on this 66 C10, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I believe it's red, white lettering. And as a bonus, you can hit the little bell right next to it. That way, every time I upload a video, trust me, you will know about it. It's a little notification bell. All right. Without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and spin the camera around and show you all the parts on the workbench. So here's all the parts I'm going to be using to upgrade the air management system. I got everything from Switch Suspension, so the links I'm going to be using in the description will be coming from their website. So the main item, which I'm excited about, is the VU4 valve from Accuair. Very nice piece, my first Accuair item to ever own. Got your bag lines here, or you can put them here, and you can mount this thing probably any which way you want to. You also got your in and out, which this will be coming from the tank. You can do one, or you can do two, which I'm going to probably do the two. And I always thought this part was sealed, but it's not. It's just a piece of rubber hiding the solenoids. That's interesting. Very solid piece. Comes with mounting hardware. Comes with fittings. Now, if you order one of these VU4 valves, you will get 3/8 airline fittings. But since I'm sticking with the 1/4 inch, the guys at Switch Suspension just kept the 3/8 fittings and gave me all 1/4 inch. I also got a few extra for the water traps I'm about to show y'all here in a second. It does come with mounting cards. Tells you what each pin does, what it controls in correlation to the vehicle. Also got a warranty card, which I have not scanned that yet, but I need to. And the harness. So I think this goes to probably the ECU for the E level. I'm not 100% sure. But we're not setting that up right now. Maybe at a later date. We're going with this this 7-switch controller box. Has all the, I guess technically, directions. It just tells you which wire does what. White wire left up, front. So what you could do, probably the easiest thing to do would just be cut this end off, maybe save a little bit of the wiring. That way if you want to reconnect it, you can. But cut this end off and then terminate all these on here and then connect it to here in relation to what Accuair's connector is to this. You could get a little fancier, not even use this, but get one of these style connectors and build your own. Just cut all this off and then build the whole connector, wire it up like the Accuair card says to wire it up as, and have you a nice clean unit, and then save this harness for when you do go E-level, if you plan on doing that in the future, which I do want to do that. Then you have this harness ready to go, unmolested, so to speak. Another thing that you can do, I guess if you wanted to, you can cut this off, solder the wiring, and then heat shrink it, and then maybe even get one of these wire sheathings and just cover all that up, make it look really nice. You could do that as well. Here's the water traps. I got 2 of them because I'm going to be running 2 lines coming from the tank going to the valve. And according to Accuair's card, if you're going to do that, you need to have 2 traps in between the tank and the valve. If you're going to run one, then you just need 1. On this item's card, it's a little different. You can do a basic in between the compressor and the tank. And you can do more advanced in between the compressor tank and in between the tank and the valves. But since Switch Suspension said you don't need to do all that, they just recommended doing a water trap in between the valve and the tank. So that's what I'm going to do. These are really nice, very lightweight, probably aluminum. Got the little drain valve, so. But now, guys, what I got to do is, one, figure out if this is long enough for the truck, because you got to keep in mind I got a long bed. I kind of unraveled this. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be long enough, but I hope it is. And what's going to determine that is where I permanently mount this. Once I figure out where this is going under the truck, then I'll know how long this is going to be. And if I need to extend it, then I'll have to get into that as well. But for now, I'm going to go under the truck, try to figure out where I want this mounted, and I'll let y'all know. Go from there. All right, got the dash cluster out, the switch gauge panel here. There's the front bag lines. I had to cut that because it's got those T fittings, and pretty much once you push them on, you are not going to get them off. I can promise you that. Got a little carried away with my cutting, and I started cutting other lines. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, just needed to cut 2. That's no big deal, I ain't worried about that. Nice thing about Ezair Ride, he does provide these cutting tools, because when you're installing these air lines, especially in the push lock fitting like this, you need that end to be nice and square and flush. That way when you go ahead and stick it in that push lock fitting, it doesn't, you get a nice clean seal, doesn't damage the O-ring that's inside. So basically what I'm going to be doing now is I think I'm going to go ahead and pull this airbag on the front so I can get those air lines out. And I already got them coming, they're on their way. I got a couple of 90-degree 1/4-inch fittings that'll go in the bag, because right now what's in there is straight fittings, and I want to eliminate that because those air lines are kind of in a bind, especially, you know, trying to curve and all that stuff. I haven't had no issues as far as leaks go, but I just want to get rid of that. Makes it a little cleaner. I don't know where I'm going to come out. I'm thinking I'm going to drill a hole somewhere in here and then route the line through, or however I'm going to do it there. For now, I'm not worried about it. What is that? What is that up under my truck here? I've just now noticed that. Live in it. Uh-oh. Well, that's no good. That is no good, my friends. That right there, it's broke on one end. It's my clutch return spring. Clutch pedal return spring. I guess it broke. Let me see my light up under here. I'm just now discovering this, guys. I didn't even know that happened. I guess the other piece is somewhere out there on the road, so oh well. Now I have to get another one of those. Well, it's always something in it. For now, I'm gonna start grabbing some tools so I can remove the airbags in the front. Well, that sucks. Well, I think I was afraid of that. I may have to pull the shock out, or at least disconnect it from the bottom and then scooch it out the way, because she's right in this area that the bag cannot come out. No big deal. Let me disconnect that. Get that up there. Hopefully the tension of the bushing will hopefully hold it up in the air. Now, lay back down. Try not to take a nap. And then pull this bag on out. But Yep, this is what I'm basically after. I need to take this airline off, and I'm going to change these fittings out to 90 degree. Like I stated earlier, hopefully those fittings come in tomorrow. They're scheduled for Saturday delivery, so I'm hoping that stays true. Alright, well, I did this side. I got to do the other side, so I'm going to get back at it. Front passenger bag's off. Obviously the driver's already off. Went ahead and removed the airlines from the fittings. So now I need to remove the fittings, remove the bag plates, and get all this cleaned up. It's pretty nasty. That way tomorrow when the fittings come in, I can go ahead and install those and then reassemble all this. That way when it's time to put the bags back in, everything will be clean and ready to go. But for now, I'll go ahead and spin this camera around so you can get a look at this mug here. So now what I need to do off camera is basically kind of assess where I want to put the VU4 valve. Obviously I know the general location is going to be near the compressor tank area over there in the back, but I don't know the permanent location just yet, so I need to figure that out off camera. Also, what I'm going to be doing, and I think it's going to work out, is I'm going to convert the tank lines, because I think they're the longest lines on the truck right now, and they will now become the front airbag lines. So hopefully the length of those two lines is going to work out perfect depending upon the location of the VU4 valve. And as far as the making new tank lines, I can either use the old lines that came off the front bags, or I got some spare line that's brand new, never been installed or used or anything. It's over here hanging on the wall. And I also forgot to mention, I got 20 feet of 1/4 inch airline as well that I bought from Switch Suspension. Just one of those just in case kind of things. So I think as far as airline goes, I think I'm good as long as those two tank lines are long enough to work for the front bags without having to be spliced into. Well, what do y'all think? I'm not much of a fabricator, but for what that bracket's going to be doing, I think it turned out okay. It's going to work great for what it's doing. Already got it bolted in place, so let's go ahead and set this VU4 valve on top of it. See how that's going to look. Yeah, I think that's going to work out great. I'm going to have the connector side facing the driver's side of the frame, so the connector harness can connect to it, because that's how I'm going to have it routed on the driver's side. And I'm also thinking right in this area here, I'm going to mount the I'm going to use a rubber clamp and mount those water traps, because it's going to have a direct shot to those end ports to receive air from the tank. So I think that's going to work out great. And I'll just put the other one here on the other side. So all in all, it's looking pretty good. So I just need to take this back off, get it painted, and then I'm going to start working on relocating all these air lines. I already got the fittings off the tank. I just need to pick one line and then move it to the driver's side so I can start getting the front airbags back on the truck and getting the airline routed to it. Alright guys, it's going to be a busy day for me. I'm about to get back to it. So I ran into a bit of a scenario I'm looking at here. See how that rear bag fitting is a 90 degree? And it's kind of in a bind, the airline itself and even the fitting. I don't know if y'all can see that in the camera. It is kind of moving. It's kind of in a bind due to the C-notch. And I don't really care for that. It could cause a leak in the future. Uh-oh, got a text message. So, remember those fittings I was saying earlier in the video that I was going to be getting? Well, they came in yesterday, and this is what I got. And at first, I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, this isn't what I wanted. I wanted fittings like this. But now that I'm seeing this scenario, I believe this is going to work out, because it's going to raise it up a little higher, and it should, in theory, take away that tension that's on that fitting and line as we speak. Obviously, downside to that is now I have to pull the rear bag out, but that's no big deal. I'd rather go ahead and correct this issue now, that way I have no trouble in the future. So now guys, I got to go ahead and remove the rear bags and swap out fittings, and I got to get this line off. I got to take all these brackets. I don't know if y'all can see that in the camera. I got 4 of them, 4 little clamps. I take that off, and then I can pull this line out, and then I can reposition all the lines, get everything back secure like it was. So it's going to be a tedious process today, but we're going to get it done. All right, I'm going to get back to it. Well, there was no way I was getting that fitting off by holding the bag by hand, so I had to use my poorly made Accuair VU4 bracket that has poor welds, drill a couple of holes to hold that bag in place, so now I can get that fitting off. I have not broken this fitting loose, so you're about to see. Oh man, there's no way I was gonna keep that bag still like that. There you go. Sometimes you just have to outsmart the stuff you're working on. Alright guys, I'm gonna clean that threaded hole up and put the new fitting in. Well, that sucks guys, look at that. Getting ready to put the new fitting back on and notice that. Even another little cut line right there. I don't know what happened. I checked the other rear bag and see no damage to it. Of course, when I pull it off, I'll know for sure if there's any issues, but self-consciously, I can't put this back on because now I know that's there. Went ahead and ordered one from Amazon overnight, so it should be here tomorrow. But I will keep this. This will be a good spare airbag for like a road trip or something. Going on a long road trip, just throw this in along with some parts and stuff like that. And if I was to ever have a failure, I could use this airbag to get me back up and going. So I got the driver's side all done. Bag's back in place. Got the 90-degree fitting installed on it. And that's where I made the air line hole. It's a 1/2-inch hole with the grommet. Worked out good, no tension on the line on the inside going to the bag, so that's nice. Not like it was before with that straight fitting. I drilled a hole here and clamped it so to keep it away from that shock. Though looking at that little clearance right there, I may have to loosen this clamp up and just kind of push the line a little bit more forward, get it further away from that shock. But other than that, this whole area is done. So now what I got to do, I went ahead and installed a grommet here as well. So now what I got to do is start tightening up all the airline and stuff all the way down the frame, pretty much going to the VU4 valve. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking and get back to it. Well, the new airbag arrived today. At first glance, I noticed it was taller than the old one, but I guess after several years of being collapsed every time I air out the truck and park it, I guess they just kind of naturally go to that position, relaxed. And this being a brand new bag, it hadn't had a lot of weight set on it yet. So after a few months, year, we'll solve that problem. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and put the new fitting on it and get this bag installed on the truck. I think the VU4 valve is permanently installed. Got all the pipe plugs in, all the fittings are in. So I was at a hydraulic hose shop the other day getting some hoses made for my job I was doing. And while I was there, I asked the guys, do y'all sell air fittings? And they said, yeah, we got all kinds of air fittings. So basically bought 4 of these and installed it to the VU4 valve. Honestly, I think with the airline coming in from the frame, going to the center of this valve here, I think the transition to the fittings is going to be a whole lot smoother than straight fittings, because then you'd have to come in and then go in at you know, trying to curve it and go make it go straight. I think this is going to work out a lot better personally, but we'll see how everything works out once we get to that point. I already got there's the passenger rear airbag. It's already installed. So now what I got to do, basically go to the passenger front, drill that hole out for the airline to go through, and then get that passenger airbag installed, bracket and everything, or the plate. And then after that, I need to start working my way down the frame, getting everything tidied up, all the airline, power cable, brake line, everything needs to be back secure like it was before I started this process, and get everything routed up and really nice up in here, so that way everything goes good to the VU4 valve and everything's secure. So you see where I'm at? I got a lot of work ahead of me, so I'm about to get to it. Just a bit of advice. If you ever put your airbag back in, always collapse it. Get the weight of the truck on it. That way you know it's fully collapsed. Make sure none of your bolts are coming in contact with your airbag. First time I put it in, that bolt right there you're looking at was touching the airbag, so I had to drop everything back down, reposition it ever so slightly, and got enough clearance. This is fully collapsed and it's supporting the weight of the truck right now, the floor jack is, so just a bit of advice I thought I'd share. So I got the passenger front airbag back in place, all buttoned up. Got the hole made, grommets in place, got the airline through it. Went ahead and put conduit like I did on the driver's side. No issues with the shock. Line's not coming in contact. So now what I need to do is go ahead and start tightening up all the airline and brake line and all that stuff going down the passenger side of the frame rail. So I'm about to lay on my back and get to it. So far, so good. I'm pleased with how everything's turning out so far. It's nice and tidy. Really haven't added any holes. Just what was already there or what I've already made since owning the truck. So I'm just kind of utilizing holes and making clamps to secure everything. Looks pretty good there. Up in here, it was a little bit jumbled. I think the power cable was going below the parking brake rod here, and then the airline was below that or something. So I had to straighten all that out. I'm much more pleased with how that turned out. And as far as this end over here, got everything clamped up. Got added a clamp there. So from the front all the way to this spot right here, I'm pretty much done. So now what I need to do is start working on this part, and then getting on the other side of this area here, start working on this side, start clamping it up, zip tying, and getting everything secure. So let me reposition myself to under this part of the truck, and we'll go from there. Got everything, all the airline and stuff secure, clamped up to this point right here. Everything done down here as well. Looks pretty good. Function and form is all I'm going for. So I'm getting ready to install the fittings. I already got the threads cleaned up on the tank best I can, and then the fitting. Soaked them a little WD-40. I don't even know if that's really necessary. There are O-rings inside there, so that's kind of what I was trying to go after. But at any rate, if this is your first time dealing with air ride, or if you've never dealt with it before, most shops, if not all of them, should use and recommend Loctite 545 or 5452. The difference between the two is 5452 is a fast cure. I don't know if y'all can see that in the camera. These GoPros are not very detailed up close. I don't know why. But these are for hydraulic and pneumatic fittings, and this stuff is awesome. I have used both. I prefer this better because of the fast cure. You can pretty much install it and you don't have to worry about some kind of time frame. I don't remember the cure time on 545. It might be 12 hours, it might be 24 hours. I'm not 100% sure. So my personal opinion, play it safe. Just get the 545 too and play it good. Teflon tape, stay away from that crap. The only other thing I might use is 567 by Loctite, which is the white stuff more. To me personally, that's more for like water pump, cylinder head bolts, stuff like that that's going in the oil and coolant. I would use that. I would recommend that stuff. But you can use it for air. I have, and it does the same job. But 545 is what's recommended. So that's what I'm thinking right there, guys. Got some more of these style clamps. Look at that straight shot from the fitting to the VU4 valve. Airline's going to work out great once I trim it down. So I believe this is the spot right here. Same thing on the other side. I just got to be mindful that this is directional. So if you get these type of water traps, make sure you pay attention to which direction they face. But that's it right there. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and drill a hole and get this thing permanently mounted. One down, one to go. I really like the way that looks. Pretty straight shot on the airline. I can still rotate this if I need to. It's not a whole lot of tension on the clamp, but just enough to keep it still. I can unscrew this if I need to access the filter and clean it or whatever the case may be there, or replace it. And I think transition from the tank line is going to be nice. The line shouldn't be in a bind. I really do like that. I would say the only negative side is this hangs a little lower than I would like, but I think being inside the frame, it's going to be a lot more secure than it would be outside the frame. You know, a tire could sling up something and hit this and break it or damage it, and then you'd have to replace it. I think in this area, even though it sets kind of low, I think it's a lot safer in this location than it would be outside the frame. But only time will tell. All right, guys, I'm gonna get the other side mounted and go from there. All right, so what you're looking at is the bottom of the cab, and this right here is the bolt for the driver's side seat belt. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a hole right there for the controller harness to come through and basically mimic that side. I've already checked inside the cab. There's nothing in this area, so I'm good to go. I'm just gonna go ahead and start drilling a hole. I don't know how large I'm gonna go yet. Probably 3/8 to start, and we'll see how that looks. So I got the hole made. Had to go larger than I thought. I ended up making a 5/8 hole to make this grommet work. A little on the big side for the harness, but I had to have enough room to run all those insulated connectors through, so I wanted a slightly larger hole to make that easy to do. Plus, on this fuse holder here, there's a couple of tabs on each side. I just used a small flat blade screwdriver, separated it to make it easier just to run the harness through. Now that it's through, I put it all back together like it's supposed to be. So now what I got to do is start wiring this up. Obviously this is not going to be long enough to reach that VU4 valve, so I'm going to have to extend it. I already got some wiring and some connectors and all that stuff, so we're about to go to the workbench and show you what I got. So I think I have everything I need to extend the wiring from the controller harness. Basically, I'm going to make all the solenoid wires white. It's just going to simplify everything. And to know which one is which, I'm going to go ahead and label it. I got this from Home Depot. It's more probably for housing wire, but it has letters and numbers. So what I think I'm going to do, on, let's say like solenoid 1 going up, I would use U1. Solenoid 1 going down, I'll use D1. Solenoid 2 up, you know, U2, D2, U3, D3. You get the idea there. Black wire for the ground, already had this, and then red wire for the one power wire with the fuse already on it. Got the braided wire loom, 10 feet. Hopefully that's enough, should be. It's 3/8, so I think it's going to work fine. And instead of cutting into the Accuair harness, I think I'm going to save that and build my own. Got all the sockets, connector, even got the rubber in the back. So I think we're good on using that. So now what I need to do is measure how long I need each wire to be, and then cut them equally, and then go ahead and start building that connector. I may leave a little extra excess. That way when I get to connecting the two, then I can adjust the length and fitment as needed. All right, guys, I got a lot of wiring to do, so I'm about to get to it. All right, I'm getting a little cluttered on my workbench. I got all 8 white wires pinned in. See if that auto corrects. There you go. I guess trying to zoom in on my hand. Anyways, I still got to make the ground wires, will be your B pin 9 and 10, and then 7 and 12 are not used. So to kind of keep all the wires, the white ones, all tidied up and kind of bundled, I went ahead and taped it, trying to evenly space it apart. I didn't measure it, just kind of used my chicken eye and just kind of went on down the line. So I got that somewhat bundled up. So now what I need to do is add the red wire into it and start looming all this in, and then get this nicely covered. And then after that, I will go ahead and start build the ground. I think I know where I'm going to ground it on the frame. I'll go ahead and build that, and I will show y'all what tool you need to have and how to do those pins, or technically these are sockets. So you know how to build. If you want to do this yourself, you know what kind of tool you'll need and how relatively, honestly, guys, it's really easy to do. Nothing to be intimidated by. So, all right, let me go ahead and get this loomed up, and then we'll start building the ground wires. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and square that end off. Strip that back. I like to twist it up. And basically, it's going to go inside there. Kind of check your length. Sometimes you can kind of shove it in there. Now that that's in place, this is the tool you're going to need. See those kind of, almost looks like a bud or something, I don't know, but little notches. I go for the smallest one, which looks to be number 2. And I'll set that thing right in here. And you crimp really hard. Go ahead and do the pull check. Yeah, that ain't going nowhere. So now, real simple, what is it? 9 and 10 are ground. You ever never seen one of these connectors? They actually have numbers. You kind of see that, I don't know if it's reflecting there on the top. That's number 6. So we'll flip that over. There's 7 not used and 12 not used, so we just need to find 9 and 10 right there. So it's these 2 center ones here. Just push it through the hole. You'll see it come out, and you'll even hear it click. I don't know if it'll pick up in the camera. See that little tab that moved? It's locked in place. It ain't going nowhere. So let's do one more. What I kind of like to do is kind of just a little bit of gap to where you can kind of see that little circle window. Pull test, good to go. Looks really good. See if that'll pick up. Nicely crimped. All right, that pin number 9. And there it is. Now, one thing I did forget to get, I could probably steal off this connector, are these plugs. They just pull out really easy. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna steal their plugs off the harness. And stick them right there. Connector complete. Now all you gotta do, this in place, and then there is a rubber gasket. Make sure the rib section is showing out. Look at that. Built my own weather pack connector. But for installation purposes, in and out, I'm gonna take the rubber because it makes it easier to plug and unplug as I need it. Got that out of the way. So now what I need to do is go ahead and start routing this in. I got the power connector built, heat shrinked really nice, looks good. That's going to be going to the 80 amp relay on the hot side. And then once I determine, this is going to be going to the frame probably where the compressors are grounded. And once I determine that length, then we'll cut that to fit and then probably crimp on one of these as well. We'll do just like they did. They did a double crimp, 2 wires going to 1 terminal. They tell you in their instructions to ground it to the block. I don't think it's going to ground very well because of all the paint, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to ground it to the frame. Should work out just fine. Well, I got ahead of myself, but pretty much all the wiring is done. I just got to deal with this bundled up mess here. Those wire tags worked out great as far as labeling them and identifying them. So that's worked out nice. The only thing I need to do now is just kind of what am I going to do with this section right here? There's a hole right here. I might put a clamp right there, kind of tidy that mess up out of the way. I am slightly concerned about the exhaust pipe, although not too much. Now, if I had it running through the exhaust cutout here that I installed but never used, then I'd be really concerned. I've had a few people ask me why I'm not using that, and I'll explain that here in a second once I get done talking about this little section here. But other than that, all the wiring's tidied up. Got everything pretty much done down the frame on this side, and I'll show you all the VU4 valve and how that turned out here in a minute. But everything's pretty much tidied up right there, all the way down. Looks really nice. And let me go ahead and explain why I'm not using the exhaust cutouts right now. You see that thing right there? It's looking right at you. That is the clutch fork. You ain't getting an exhaust pipe through that. And unless I eliminate the standard transmission itself and or go hydraulic on the clutch, I cannot run a pipe through this area. Passenger side, no big deal. Zoom back out. No big deal. I got plenty of room to run a pipe through there, but on this side, not so much. So that's why the exhaust cutouts are not being utilized right now. Otherwise, I'd just be going below the frame in one spot, and that would just look silly. And I hate to say it, I may have wasted my time and money installing those, because I think what I may do in the future is move this exhaust outside the frame. But we will get in that at another time, at another date, and another video. For now, we're dealing with Accuair VU4 valve wiring, and this is what I have to deal with. Well, what do y'all think? Everything is finally done back here. Got a bunch of decals in the top drawer of my toolbox, and I was looking for something up there, and I noticed this decal was sitting on top of the rest of them. So I was like, ooh, I think I know what I'm gonna do with this. So thought I'd put it on the bottom of my bracket so I could spice this area up a bit. All in all, it turned out really nice. I love how the water traps look. Go straight shot into the VU4 valve. Clamps worked out great, hold it nice and firm. Access the drain valves right there really easy. Airline transitioning smoothly all the way to the tank on both sides. Got the ground for the VU4 valve. I got it going to this ground for the compressor. That worked out nice. The power wire for the controller, got it going to the hot side of this 80 amp relay, because basically this 6-gauge cable goes all the way to the battery. Harness looks good. It's all tidied up and stuff. Everything's clamped, zip tied the way I want it. Airlines transition nicely with the 90-degree fittings. And see, they got that little bit of wiggle room in case, you know, vibrations and whatnot. The fitting's moving more so than the line. I guess the only thing I really don't care for is this crisscross pattern from between 2 and 3. But really, the only way you can solve that is to make these 2, 3, and 4 solenoids your passenger side, and make 1 and 2 your driver's side. But you'd have to repin all this to make that work in that correlation. And at the time, I wasn't thinking about that. I just went ahead and wired it up according to the Accuair instruction card they provide in the VU4 box. So now, guys, I'm pretty much going to call it for tonight. Tomorrow I got a few more things to tidy up, and then I'm going to clean up the wheels and tires and get them back on the truck so we can get this truck back on the ground and test out the action of the VU4 by Accuair. pretty much wraps this video up. I really enjoyed the process of upgrading my air management system on my 66 C10. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope it was informative. All in all, I am super impressed with that VU4 valve. It's definitely, Accuair is definitely holding up to their reputation as being a quality, selling quality products. And that VU4 valve is very nice, very high quality. Super fast. I would say my system, even though I'm still sticking with 1/4 inch airline, at least 3 times faster. Definitely. The air's up and air's down a lot faster, as you could tell earlier in the video. Now I don't have those switches in the dash. It's just this. This is all I got in the seat. No switches, no gauges. No more hearing that compressed air when I air out inside the cab. No more smelling that air. You know how compressed air, it can stink. That's all gone. So now when it's time to install the air conditioning in my truck, I'm shooting for this year, but more likely it's going to be 2023. That's when I'm going to be installing air conditioning in this truck, so be on the lookout for that video. But from now, there's a car show I want to go to tomorrow, and this truck's pretty nasty, so I kind of want to get it cleaned up while it's kind of nice outside. So like, subscribe, and until then, thanks for watching.